Today, we return with criminal videos to present the case of the Barbie and Ken murderers. Nicknamed this way because of their physical resemblance to Mattel's dolls. Stay tuned to learn about their story. We assure you it will not leave you indifferent. Paul Kenneth Bernardo was born on August 27, 1964, in Scarborough, Toronto. Paul had a happy childhood until two events deeply marked his life. On one hand, he learned that his father had abused his sister, and on the other, that he had been born from his mother's adulterous affair. From that point on, his behavior changed, starting with daily insults towards his mother and developing fantasies in which he enjoyed humiliating and beating women. Soon after, the first abuses would begin. His first assault took place on May 4, 1987. Paul abused a 21-year-old woman in front of her own home for more than half an hour. From then on, the predator would start to list victims with the same pattern and modus operandi. He chose young girls between 15 and 21 years old who were returning home. Before attacking them, he seduced them by posing as a salesman. It was easy for him since he was an attractive boy, and once he gained their trust, he would hit them and drag them to a dark place to fulfill his fantasy by sadistically abusing them. In the following months, the female population lived in terror as the police had not found the perpetrator of the assaults. Several suspects were interrogated, including Paul himself, but the young man managed to deceive the authorities by proving his false innocence. By the time he met his future wife, Carla Homolka, he already had over 20 assaults behind him. Their appearance kept them from being suspected. A young, attractive, friendly couple, seemingly good people. The bond between them grew stronger when the young man discovered that Carla, unlike other girls who would have been horrified by his perversions, shared his fantasies. Paul continued abusing young women, knowing that his girlfriend knew and approved of it. Sometime later, Paul told his girlfriend that he wanted to abuse her sister, Tammy Homolka, who was only 15 years old. Instead of being scandalized, his girlfriend cooperated to fulfill his perverse wish. On December 23, 1990, during a family gathering, Carla took with her a powerful anesthetic stolen from the veterinary clinic where she worked and poured it into her sister's drink. That same night, while the rest of the family slept, Carla placed a handkerchief with another sedative in the minor's mouth. And when the young woman lost consciousness, the couple took her down to the basement, stripped her naked, and Paul began to savagely abuse her while Carla watched the entire scene. The perversion did not end there, since the couple filmed the attack so they could relive it later. While this was happening, Tammy was choking on her own vomit. And instead of asking for help, the couple erased all traces before notifying the family. Finally, the young woman died in the hospital, and her death was attributed to asphyxia due to vomiting caused by drinking alcohol. The following year, Paul kidnapped Leslie Mahaffey, a 14-year-old girl, and took her to his home. The ritual was repeated and lasted several days. They drugged the young woman, abused her, filmed the attack, and finally they murdered her, cut up the body with a circular saw, and threw the remains into a nearby lake. Less than 2 weeks later, a couple found the pieces of the body, and while forensics analyzed them, Paul and Carla arrived at their wedding party in a horse-drawn carriage. No one linked them to those crimes at that time. A year later, they repeated a new kidnapping and murder with Kristen French, a 15-year-old girl, and abandoned her remains in a road ditch. A year later, Carla left Paul and took refuge with her family and friends, escaping the violence that he began to unleash on her. Sometime later, a DNA sample confirmed Paul's involvement in the abuse of young people, so the police went to Carla in search of testimonies. She wanted the maximum possible immunity to be able to testify, so she reached a deal with the justice system and accused her husband of more than 30 abuses and 3 murders. Later, in one of the investigations at her house, they found the recordings and also discovered Carla's participation in the crimes. However, the deal had already been made, and since she had collaborated with justice, they decided to reduce her sentence to only 12 years in prison. Paul is still serving his sentence and Carla was released in 2005. Upon leaving prison, she gave a single interview and stated that she had remorse and that she was under the influence of her husband. What do you think of this horrible story, TikTakers? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it. And if you want to see more Draw My Life videos, subscribe to our channel. See you in the next episode!